Hey TBATE fans, this is Chris Bolts coming in with another video. Now, I don't want you guys to assume that I am picking on the fans or anybody that likes TBATE. I am not. I'm just flabbergasted that TBATE is the show that keeps on giving. You know, this show, it's ho-hum, it's fine. There's nothing very special about it or anything. I know that a lot of people have really marketed this show, or really not marketed, but really have said that this show could have the potential to become the next Solo Leveling. Frankly, I just don't see it. At this moment in time, it feels more like a poor man's take on jobless reincarnation. That may be your stick and everything like that, but for me, not so much or anything like that. I'm going to still stick with the show. As I said, I'm going to watch this show all the way to the end. Hopefully the story will get better towards the end and everything like that. Maybe the animation might get better. I doubt it, but that remains to be seen. But before I actually get into why I'm making this video, make sure you do like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really helps me out. Now, you see I have this particular scene right up here. This is Arthur getting ready to face off with the child elf Faerith. And Faerith obviously does not like Arthur. He doesn't like humans in general. And there's going to be a particular fight right here. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this and I have this frame up here is because I want to respond to this article from FandomWire. And FandomWire is going out on a limb and saying that they hope that this particular animation or this particular scene will somehow fix its most glaring flaw, which I frankly think the entire animation of the show is its most glaring flaw. According to this author, who named Himanshi Jeswani, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, over at FandomWire, this particular scene that I had up before is what she's hoping for. And she says right here, the episode is giving us something in terms of fights, that is, the movements and maneuvers that seem straight up replicas of manhwa panels weren't there. Arthur landing a punch on Faerith was exactly what we were looking forward to. Now, she says that, so no more PowerPoint, PNG, or lackluster visuals, it seems. For a change, it seems hopeful to all TBATE fans who wanted the impact to be reflected in these fights. It seems all isn't lost. But there's one question that prevails. Can the anime overcome its failure and the blatant criticism? Now, again, remember, over in Japan, this anime is doing quite well. It's teetering around the 3rd and 4th place rank on certain rankings and whatnot. And at one time, it did capture #1 for the daily rankings. But back over to this. Let's go ahead and take a look at the animation here on this particular scene. So there's the scrolling. There's more scrolling. There's Faerith, or not Faerith, but Tessia getting ready to have them go at it. There's more scrolling. Hand down. So your prayers, Arthur the human. Now, and that's pretty much it. That's it. Now, in terms of animation, I still say it's pretty lackluster. I would say in this particular scene, we didn't have that much animation. Let's go back again. I'm going to go back to the particular time period that we started at. I think this is about fair right here. So there's scrolling. Here's more scrolling. There's about a few frames of animation. More scrolling. That was a little still, some animation. And that was it. So there really wasn't all that much animation in that particular scene. So I don't know what it is that she's putting placing her hopes on, because that particular scene was not anything of worth. It didn't impress me. I don't think we're going to be getting a lot of those scenes in future episodes of this anime. Maybe we do, but at this point in time, it still seems like it's more of a PowerPoint presentation. Lots of PNG being the types of bit files that when you save your pictures, you can save it as a PNG or a JPEG file. The visuals are still pretty lackluster, I must say. So hope springs eternal with this, and that the biggest criticism of the anime is the animation, and that's probably not a really good thing if you are marketing your anime as the next big thing to come out of South Korea. This currently isn't doing it for him. Now, there's also another issue that I guess a lot of people are having with TBATE, and that turns out to be the character that they're fighting over, namely, where is she? This girl, Tessia. Now, when we get first introduced to Tessia in the anime, she's getting captured by some slavers, getting ready to be sold off into slavery until Arthur comes along and saves her from these slavers. And at first, I was like, she's an okay character and everything like that. She's an okay character, but as soon as she gets back with her parents, she becomes this ornery little boss girl, and I'm like, I don't care for that type of attitude or anything like that. And in fact, if we go towards the end, they have a time jump here, and we got her right here. She's being pretty bossy to Arthur, who just is waking up from or rather he's having a nightmare and everything like that, and she's trying to force him up, and she's going to do some magic right here, push a man into his ankle and hurt him. And I'm like, I don't care for that type of character in a girl. But far from that, apparently in the actual manhwa itself, let's see, where are we at? In the manhwa itself, we'll just read some of the bullet points here, and this is coming from Lavina Joshi. Tessia has been introduced as a damsel in distress, which I have no problem with, as long as it's character growth in the anime, and that's what her perception has been so far. But in the webcomic, she has always to be a stronger, more capable individual, but she bears the brunt of an intense hate due to her mistakes. So apparently, whenever she gets into trouble, or she does things that get all the other characters into trouble, how she actually ended up with the slavers is of interest, because how did she get there to begin with? There were no other elves around her at the time she got captured by those slavers. So I imply from that she's someone that's so headstrong that she can't be told what to do, and she does her own thing, and she got herself in trouble for it. So right here, Tessia realizes the difference between her and Arthur fairly early on. He's more capable than any of his peers and continues to grow stronger. As soon as she realizes that fact, she decided to become strong herself so that she could stand by his side without having to question herself, which I never understand that particular aspect of anime characters. Why? Well, I have to become stronger so I can stand next to someone who also is stronger. Sometimes it's okay to just be meek and just be supportive. You don't have to stand toe to toe or side by side. Be behind and provide that type of support. But that's just one of my pet peeves. It goes on further to say, in that process, she ends up making some bad decisions during crucial moments like the war. That's probably some time further into the webcomic and probably the anime. So I won't concentrate on that too much. From intense pressure to her upbringing in a guarded environment, a lot of things could explain her recklessness. However, she gets intense hate regardless of the explanations. Despite the hate, one thing that can't be denied is Tessia's growth. In particular case, we go to another article. All right, so in this particular article, which is by Avamsi Krishna, and this is what this guy has to say about Tessia. Just to be clear, we do not think of Tessia as a necessarily bad character, but God, do we hate some of her decisions. The Tessia in the novel is a static character. A static character is basically a character who doesn't grow. I think that is going to be coming to a forefront here in the anime because it'll be combined with the bad visuals. You're going to have the bad visuals and potentially a character who does not grow. Now, as someone who's a creator and a writer himself, I tend to not like it when the studios deviate from the original creator's vision. But, and here's a but, if the original creator's vision is so damaging that it could potentially harm the reception of the form of entertainment that is being adapted to, like in this case here, anime, then I think it should be okay for the studio to go in there and make some changes so that the reputation of the work is not damaged. And in this particular case here, Turtle Me has already admitted that he has little control. I did a video on that a few weeks ago about how Turtle Me does not have a lot of creative control over what happens with the anime. So I think it would be up to Studio ACAT rather's benefit that if this particular character, Tessia, is a static character, makes a lot of bad decisions, refuses to grow, and is churlish and girl bossish, according to the original creator's vision, to Turtle Me's vision, they should go in there and make a little bit of changes here and there to make her a more likable character, so that it does not damage the overall anime more than what the animation itself has already done. So I think that would be to its benefit to go in there and make that particular change here. And let me go down here and just read this quote right here. It says right here, this is from P. Momi. Changing the source material 9 times out of 10 ruins a series. It doesn't fix a series, but causes far more problems. I agree with that. Having an unlikable character who's a burden makes the series more relatable and realistic. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that or anything. I don't know if it makes it more relatable. It makes it more of a headache. Not to mention when fans go read the source material, it will be different from the series. Making it a character more intelligent or independent changes the story. And in this particular case, I would agree with that. But we're not. But I wouldn't say that you make Tessia more intelligent and more independent, but make her learn more from her mistakes. Show that she is a character that is growing, not a character that is intelligent but still makes stupid decisions, or independent and makes stupid decisions. So good world building means having characters of all different personalities and weaknesses, even to the point of unlikable. That I agree with that too. Taking away flawed characters waters down the series and makes it another generic fantasy show. So far, TBATE is. People love to complain about series being unrealistic, yet when they get realism, bratty characters or good people doing bad things, they complain. This cookie cutter storytelling isn't going to work anymore. People like the series for what they are. Changing them often ends in failure. Not always true. Not always true. At the same time, sometimes following the source material too much can be damaging. Just go ask HBO Max on The Last of Us season 2 and see how see how they like where they're currently situated, because they decided to follow the source material very closely. See, something that has hurt Snow White and Marvel, in those particular instances, Disney just completely upended everything. So just one reason why American comics are struggling. There's a lot of that's a comment for another day and everything like that. But overall, I agree with some of the things that the commenter said. Other parts I don't agree with it or anything like that. But those two particular issues I wanted to go ahead and bring about TBATE here. I don't think that fight scene. I don't think this particular fight scene right here fixes anything associated with the animation. In fact, I think it probably puts a bigger microscope over the animation, because if she says that that's what is good, then that means that Studio ACAT is capable of making a really good anime, but they chose not to. And then Tessia being an unlikable character because she refuses to grow and she's churlish and girl bossish, I think that Studio ACAT could take an opportunity to just at least show that she is growing, show that she is growing and everything like that, and not just keep her someone that's flat and refuses to grow. But those are my comments on that. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree that that animation is the saving grace for beginning after the end? Or are you more like, it's fine. It's fine. It's not, it didn't change my opinion any. And what do you think about making some adjustments to Tessia's character? Jump down in the comments and let me know what you guys think. And remember to like, share, subscribe, turn on post notifications. All that stuff really helps me out. And remember, this is Chris Bolt signing off, and I will catch you in the next video. You guys take it easy.